Shit happens, one cannot be a whiny little bitch all the time. Anyway, hey there fellow book nerds, this is your Mr. Trader Talib and you're watching my channel High on fucking Books. So this was the obligatory introduction to the channel. It does not sound good, I don't know why I keep doing that. Anyway, welcome back people to the channel. I know the video is a little bit late, like for the last 20 or so days I've not been uploading any video on this channel. Cause the thing is my recording gear broke and I couldn't shoot any video. Hence the things got delayed and my plans for the month of February fell flat on their face. Now they've been pushed to the month of March, so hopefully things will look good in the next month. But for this one they are pretty much fucked now. And if you've been following my channel, you people might be aware of this thing that consistency is something with which this channel has struggled a lot and it is still struggling with that. So yeah, there's that. Anyway, let's start talking about the book that you have seen in the thumbnail, which is Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. And before we get into the discussion about this book, I want to tell you people that this video is not going to be a review because I think I am not qualified enough and capable enough to review a piece of literature such as this. So I'm just going to talk about my feelings for this book and what I think of it, and I'm not gonna label this video as a review because I know there's a difference between casually talking about a book and reviewing a piece of literature, and I know when I'm not doing the later. So yeah, there's of course going to be a rating system at the end of this book, at the end of this video, but do not take this video as a review. It's just me talking about my feelings for this book. That's it. Now, talking about it, well, when Parth from the Indian Bibliophile commented on my video saying that this is the best book that he had read during the year 2021, I was like, what could possibly be so good about the story? And when I read it, I totally understand what the guy meant. This is an amazing story and I couldn't have read it at a better time. Like, it might sound a little bit pretentious to you people, but when I read the story, I was like, I was supposed to read this story during this phase of my life, a phase of my life where my mind is flirting and fucking with self-hatred, self-doubt, existential crisis and whatnot. So the timing just couldn't have been better. And after reading this book twice over a day and after coming back to this book over and over again over the course of the last 10 days, I am just able to grasp a fraction of what Franz Kafka has put in the story. And I'm sure even if I'll dedicate months to this story, even if I'll dedicate a freaking year to this book, I will not be able to fully comprehend what the author has done here. But still, whatever the fraction I was able to comprehend, whatever the teeny tiny bits I was able to wrap around my brain, I found those things to be truly fascinating and thought-provoking. And thought-provoking is the word which defines this book well. Like, this book will make you think. Like, it will make you think about you, about yourself as a person in the society, in your family, about your individuality, about your existence, the purpose of it, and all those things. So yeah, if you have doors to your brain open, then this book will make you contemplate. And one of the other fascinating things about this book is like it is just barely 100 pages long, and despite being this small, it is open to multiple interpretation. If you look upon internet, there are many interpretations about this book, and even to these days, even to this day, like even after 100 years or so, people comes up with new interpretation of this book which counters the previous one. I find this really fascinating and interesting. And this book came out in the year 1915. It's an allegorical novel, and since its release it has continued to baffle the finest of mind in the literary circle, and I can understand why. After reading this book and after reading a bit about Franz Kafka, I thought, I might be wrong, but I thought that this book could have been a potential suicide note by the author, because he wrote this book during a phase of his life when he was contemplating about suicide. So the thing was, he was really close to his sister Othello. I hope I'm not mispronouncing her name. So he was really close to his sister Othello, and his sister always supported him through all his venture, and she loved him dearly. But this one time when his sister sided with his parents against Kafka, Kafka felt betrayed. He was deeply hurt and it nearly pulled him towards suicide, and it was at that time he wrote the story. And when you'll read this book and when you'll read about Kafka, you will be able to see parallels between Gregor Samsa, who is the main character of the story, and Franz Kafka. And it's a no hidden fact that most of Franz Kafka's work are sort of autobiographical account of his life. So if you're planning to get into any of his work, make sure you read about his life as well, because that way his work will make more sense to you. Talking about plot, well, there's not much to the plot here, because it's a story about a guy who one day wakes up in his bed and finds that he has somehow turned into a gigantic bug, and how he's treated after that by his family, and how he chooses to deal with things is the story of Metamorphosis. Now, if you're looking for a reason as to why Gregor turned into a bug, you're not at all looking for the right things in the story, because the unexplained and the bizarre beginning itself points toward the absurdity of the existence. And as I said earlier in this video, like, this is an allegorical novel. This piece of information, of course, came through Wikipedia, but this book is supposed to be a metaphor for grander themes like existence and individuality and all those type of things. And it also talks about depression. Like, it very cleverly talks about depression and says, like, doing simple things can be very difficult for a person who is suffering from this fucking darkness, depression. And when you are suffering from depression, people can be very oblivious to your suffering, and they wouldn't understand what you are going through. Take this thing for instance, like Gregor, when he turned into a bug, he himself was suffering. But when his father finds that thing out, he thought that this is somehow Gregor's own fault, Samsa's own fault, and he started beating him and hurting him and started adding to his misery. His own sister, who in the beginning was like, I'm gonna take care of my brother, I'm gonna do things that might please this insect, I'm gonna bring him food and do stuff for him. And later, at one point later in the story, says that we need to get rid of this fucking bug because it might just destroy their entire family. And this transformation of Grete, his sister, Samsa's sister, prompted Gregor Samsa to go back into his room and starve himself to death. So Metamorphosis is not just about the transformation of Gregor Samsa, it also is about the transformation of Grete Samsa from a loving sister to someone who started hating his own brother. Two of the most important things that I took away from the stories are, like, number one is, when you really love someone and when that person is suffering and their suffering is bringing out the worst in them and it's becoming really hard for you to handle them and to love them, do not give up on them, because the people who are hardest to love are the one who need it the most. It is a quote by Socrates, and I strongly believe in it, and it will probably stick to me till the end of my days. So yeah, do not give up on people easily, because listen, like, you might be the only person in this person's life to whom they turn when they are at their lowest, to whom they open up, to whom they pour their heart out to. You might be the only comforting thing in their life. So when you turn your back on such a person, it might just push them to a place where you do not want to see them and later blame yourself. So yeah, do not give up on people easily. And when I say that do not give up on people, I do not mean that one should entertain and hang on to toxic relationship. I believe you people are intelligent enough to see the difference between someone who really need help and someone who is an opportunistic asshole taking your advantage. When I say do not end things easily, what I mean is be considerate towards other. Think twice before ending things and think thoroughly. That's what I mean. The other important thing is, like, you are supposed to give yourself the love and care that you expect other people to give you. Because the thing is, people are fucking stupid. They are limited by their time, their energy, and their intellectual capacity to understand your state and your suffering. So you cannot actually expect them to give you the care that you need. You'll have to look after yourself. And if you have someone in your life who looks after you, then consider yourself lucky. But most of the time, like, people are really limited and you cannot blame them for what they are. So you'll have to look after your own fucking back. And I know it can be frustrating to look after people and not having someone to look after you. But when was being good easy? Like, it has never been easy. Being good comes at a price. So it's up to you to decide whether you want to do what is convenient or what is right. So that's all that I've got to say about this book as of now. I'm sure that I'm going to talk about this book again on this channel properly, and I'll review it as well. But as of now, that's all that I had to say. So yeah, this was the video. My rating for this book is 5 out of 5 stars, and I'll see you next time in my next video. Until then, you people have a good one and keep reading. Bye bye.